Someone who is stuck to sex, for instance, there's a way he sees sex, there's a way he sees himself. And one key thing I realized that will help you break away from addiction is to first realize who you are. Identity really helps a great deal, in helping you overcome it.
98.9 Invicta FM, jumping here, ready to take you through something interesting for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I've got someone with me in the house, and I'll just introduce him as well as his book, and then hand over the baton to him to carry on from there. His name is Olumakinwa Aaron. He's a passionate writer, author, teacher, pastor, and inspirational speaker who has a zest for inspiring people into fulfilling their God-given assignments on time. Now, he's a strong witness to the gospel of God's grace, which he uses as a tool to inspire God's people into taking their full inheritance in Christ Jesus. He served as the head pastor of the Holy Nation Campus Fellowship, University of Benin, Nigeria. He's currently serving as a pastor under the senior prophet, Prophet Ocheni Ejiga Aminu, and his wife, Prophetess Blessing Aminu, who are the senior pastors of House of Gospel Center. He has a bachelor's degree in computer science education from the University of Benin, Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. Olumakinwa Aaron, that's the name. And the title of his book is Overcoming Negative Addictions. Overcoming Negative Addictions. The subtitle, Breaking Every Habit, Stopping You from Maximum Success Through the Power of God's Grace. Good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Olumakinwa, or Pastor Olumakinwa.
Whichever. Good afternoon, sir. It's so good to be here.
So, walk us through the book very quickly.
Okay. I wrote the book Overcoming Negative Addictions because I had a season in my life where I was stuck to some sort of negative habits, negative addictions that limited my productivity, limited how much I could accomplish in life, how much I could accomplish for the kingdom. I was addicted to sex for a while. And then in the course of my experience, I began to desire, to find a system that would work for me, and also how I can also find a system that could work generally for people to overcome their addictions. It took me a while, series of research and study, to find out what it takes to break the hold of addictions over one's life. So it spurred me to pen down my process. It spurred me to pen down a system which people can follow, to overcome any kind of addictions that they're stuck with.
All right. So if I got you right,
yes, sir.
You came to a realization,
yes,
that
sir.
Yeah, I'm addicted to this. Yes. I'm addicted to that.
Yes.
And then decided to take a step towards researching, both physically and also spiritually,
yes,
on
exactly.
how to stop yourself from those addictions.
Yes, sir.
So, for those listening, I will be wondering, all right, probably the first thing first for me to realize that these are my problems.
Yes.
Because if you don't know your problems, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, realization is the first step to deliverance. Realization is the first step to salvation. You need to know the problem before you could begin to look for a solution. You wouldn't look for a solution if you've not found out what the problem is. And so many persons are stuck to certain kinds of habits. It could be anything. It could be from the way they think, the way they talk, their belief systems, sex, substances, drugs, and stuff like that. Anything. You could be stuck to anything. But you see, in the course of research, I discovered that the good thing about addictions is it's not a bad thing to be addicted. I always had the notion that once you're addicted, it has to be something bad.
There's something wrong with you.
If you're addicted, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, you should strive to be addicted. But it now depends where you channel your strengths, your tendency towards getting addicted. You are an on-air personality, radio. I believe you love what you're doing.
Yes.
And there should be some sort of addiction you have that makes you successful.
There is.
So I found out that addiction is one of the keys for you, one of the principles you need to apply to be successful. You need to get stuck to a kind of, habit or endeavor, whatever. You understand?
I get you.
So that realization helps you to realize, okay, yes, I'm addicted to to something negative, and it's stopping me from being more positive. It's affecting my relationships. It's affecting my work. It's affecting my studies. It's affecting certain things in my life. If you don't realize that these stops are stopping you from being more successful, then you wouldn't go for for deliverance. You wouldn't go for a break, to break free from such things.
All right. In case you got lost in what I was trying to say, it's trying to let you know that there is positive and there's negative addiction. And the book is telling you overcoming negative addictions. If you're addicted to the right things, you definitely would become successful because you're focusing on those things and probably getting better at those
Exactly,
things.
sir.
But negative addictions, that's where the problem is. Now, there's some people might say, I don't really have so many addictions, like negative addictions in terms of vices,
Yes.
the bad things you mentioned. But I realized something. Because I'm presently reading a devotional, and it's on worry and anxiety. We tend to worry a lot as human beings. I can say that is an addiction for
That's
some people.
that's
We tend to, like, someone just tells you something, instead of you to sit down, probably make a plan. Okay, I have this to do. When I go to work tomorrow, I'll do this project, do that project. I'll work on this, I'll work on that. By the time I'm done working on this, I'll now do this. But instead of that, we'd rather spend much of probably the night before sleeping just think. Instead of you to make plans, you're thinking, man, how will I do this one today now? How will I do it? How would I? And then you end up probably not sleeping on time.
Yes.
Getting a very poor sleep, because when you worry too much, your sleep, you keep waking up intermittently in the middle of the night. And the next day, everything is just scattered, and you end up going back home and you're all, I didn't do anything today. And then the worry adds to that worry and so on.
Sure.
So I am sure it's one of those things.
It's one of those things. It's all inclusive. Anything negative, for lack of a better word to encapsulate all these things, that's why I use the word addictions. But it's more of, and I tried in the book to make people understand that addictions is not just what you do. It's also about how you think, what you believe. It's much more about that than
your
about
belief system.
Yes, it's much more about that than what you actually do. In fact, what you do is more of a reflection of
What's in the head?
What's within you, the negative thought patterns, worry, anxiety, fear, lust. They are actually a reflections, or they're actually the roots of what we actually do eventually. So you see someone stuck with tobacco, alcohol, sex, whatever, pornography, masturbation. The reason why such persons are stuck to such is because of how their mind thinks. Not just what they think, but how they think, how they interpret information, how their worldview. You understand? Now someone who is stuck to sex, for instance, there's a way he